Welcome to the Wealth Drain Plug. This is episode 1 of The Money Case. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Enjoy.
Most people think the magic number is $1 million. But there's a threshold that hits decades earlier, and it changes everything about how your portfolio works. At $750,000, your portfolio stops working for you and starts working with you. Below that number, your portfolio drifts flat. Growth roughly equals withdrawals. Above it, growth crushes withdrawals, so your money funds your life and still grows. And the math that makes this happen is simpler than you think. The 4% rule, the safe annual withdrawal that historically lasts 30 years, is the foundation of most retirement plans. William Bengen published this in 1994 after studying decades of stock and bond returns. 4% means if you have $100,000, you withdraw $4,000 a year. If you have $500,000, you withdraw $20,000 a year. But here's what most people miss. That rule assumes zero growth beyond the withdrawal. In reality, your money grows at 7% a year on average. Call it real return after inflation. So at some point, that 7% growth outpaces the 4% withdrawal by enough that your portfolio actually self-funds itself. And that point, mathematically, is $750,000. $750,000 times 4% equals $30,000 a year. That's $2,500 a month. The floor you can safely withdraw. Now take that same $750,000 and apply 7% real growth, the historical market average. $750,000 times 0.07 equals $52,500 in growth. So at the threshold, your portfolio grows $52,500 a year, but you withdraw $30,000. That's a difference of $22,500, meaning your portfolio grows more than it shrinks, so growth reinvests into itself. Below the threshold, growth and withdrawal nearly cancel out. Your money drifts flat. Above the threshold, portfolio compounds while you live on it, the self-sustaining point. The first change is psychological, not mathematical. Below the threshold, market dips terrify you because your portfolio can't easily absorb loss and grow back. The math shows you'll barely recover. You might not have enough runway. But the day you cross $750,000, a 20% market crash drops you to $600,000. And that $600,000 still generates $36,000 in growth at 7%. So your withdrawal of $30,000 and that growth of $36,000 nearly offset. You recover in under a year, mathematically. That psychological shift, knowing the math protects you, is the first change. The second change is liquidity. At $750,000, you have real options. You can bridge to Social Security by age 65 if you're retiring early. No early withdrawal penalties if you plan right. You can cover the Affordable Care Act gap years on your own if you don't have an employer plan. You can rebalance into less volatile assets, not because you have to, but because you want to. Drop your current portfolio number in the comments. I'll tell you how many years to the threshold at your savings rate. Let's say you reach $750,000 at age 65 and retire. Year 1. You withdraw $30,000 and your $750,000 grows by $52,500. Your balance year-end is $772,500. You spent $30,000 and still grew $22,500. That margin is the engine of self-sustaining retirement. Year 10. The math doesn't stay static, compound kicks in. $750,000 times 1.07 divided by 1.04 all to the 10th power equals roughly $1,050,000. So at 7% growth, but 4% withdrawal, you pass the $1 million mark in decade 1 of retirement. That's the wealth building tool the threshold unlocks. Your withdrawals fund themselves, and growth still builds. Most people spend their whole career saving to one number. They never do the math to ask what changes when they land. The threshold of $750,000 isn't arbitrary. It's the mathematical crossover point where 7% growth beats 4% withdrawal by enough margin to be irreversible. Below the threshold, you're still in accumulation mode. Every dollar saved matters because your portfolio can't fully self-fund yet. Above the threshold, you flip to a different mode. Your portfolio compounds faster than you can spend from it. But here's the honest reframe. This threshold assumes you're in a 30-year retirement. Shorter retirements can withdraw at higher rates safely. It also assumes 7% returns. In a conservative market, the threshold might be higher. In a bullish market, lower. And it doesn't account for healthcare costs, long-term care, inflation surprises, or the fact that most Americans between 55 and 64 have only 185,000 saved. Laura, the person we're about to walk through, is right at that median 55 to 64 balance point, but her path to 750,000 tells the real story. Laura is 58, single, lives in Ohio, earns $95,000 a year as a W-2 employee. She saved $180,000, $130,000 in a traditional 401k, $35,000 in a Roth IRA, and $15,000 in taxable brokerage. Every month, Laura puts in $1,500 into her retirement accounts. At her current pace, $1,500 a month, 7% returns, she'll have $445,000 at age 65. That's not the $750,000 threshold. So the honest math for Laura is this. To hit $750,000 by 65, she'd need to save $3,000 a month instead of $1,500. Or work to 70 and let 7 years of additional contributions and compound growth bridge the gap. Or adjust her retirement target downward. $445,000 at 4% still yields $17,000 to $800 a year, which is a real income stream. The threshold matters not because everyone must hit it, but because understanding the math means Laura can choose her path consciously. If she wants to retire at 65 with $445,000, that's 60% of the threshold. She'll be in slow growth mode for a while. But the moment she reaches $450,000, the math starts to shift. Growth begins to outpace withdrawals. So her real threshold might not be $750,000, it might be the point her specific return and withdrawal intersect. The Wealth Drain Plug publishes a new video every single day, so hit subscribe if you want to know when the next threshold video drops. Because understanding the math behind the numbers is how you build a retirement that doesn't drain. So, you can finally give yourself a license to chill.